Hey guys, this is PlasmaCards here with a very special Halloween edition of I don't know, what is this? Looking
Looking into the future.
There you go, looking into the future. Even though technically this isn't the future because these cards just came out. But yeah, basically this is a Ghostrick deck profile that I've been working on for quite some time now. I've been testing the deck.
Yeah, and you guys can. There's going to be this video, and then there's going to be a subsequent video that's going to come out after that has the
duels, basically.
The duels, yeah, just like we have done with Crystal B. What is it? ZWs, Fire Fists, Battle and Boxers, Archfiends. This is next, and yeah. So this is Adrian's deck, so we're going to go ahead. And,
let's start with the deck profile. I'm not going to lie, it is largely based off of the Ghostricks deck that topped that random event in the OCG.
Yeah.
It did top the event. It was very small, but still, nonetheless, I think the decisions that were made were very clever. I had made certain different things before the announcement of the fact that it topped in the OCG, but nonetheless, it ended up being kind of similar, but I'll tell you some differences that have already happened because it was in a different format.
Yep.
So you run 3 Kyonchi. Kyonchi's effect basically, by the way, just putting it out there, all the Ghostricks have a very similar effect, stating that you can't normal summon them unless you control another Ghostrick. So you have to start off setting a Ghostrick, and then once per turn you can set a Ghostrick. So that's very important.
You can set itself.
You can set itself.
Yeah, so that's going to be, we're not going to say this at every effect, we're just going to call that the Ghostrick effect, because all of them have that.
Yeah.
So while we go through it.
So they all have the Ghostrick effect, but Kyonchi's probably definitely one of the better ones, because these 3 over here are all based on the field, and these 2 are based in your hand. What Kyonchi does is, depending on how many Ghostricks you have on the field, you get to search a Ghostrick to your hand. This is incredibly powerful because you keep maintaining hand advantage, and with that you will eventually maintain field advantage. She's also a rank 3, meaning that when you use Stein or another Kyonchi, you can make Alucard, who is like seriously one of the MVPs of the deck.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but we'll move on now to
Lantern. Lantern is a hand trap. Lantern is awesome. I run him at 3. I don't think I'd ever run him at anything less than 3, to be completely honest. Right now, he's just a boss. Basically what happens is that if your opponent is attacking a Ghostrick monster, you can special summon him to the field and negate the attack, or if your opponent is attacking directly, you can special summon and negate the attack. So
to be sure, this special summons himself in face down defense.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, a couple of things. The reason that I didn't like him at 3 originally was because if your opponent attacks a face-down defense position Ghostrick monster, you cannot special summon him to negate the attack.
Yeah, because it has to be a Ghostrick, and it's not a Ghostrick if it's face-down, because it's not public knowledge that it's a Ghostrick.
Exactly. So that was what I was finding to be problematic. But then, I don't know, as I got better, I realized that it's sometimes better to start off with a blank field if you have him.
Yeah.
And you can maintain field advantage pretty well. Plus, when you've got Ghostrick House, it's
the field spell. We'll go into that later.
Yeah, it's really a blessing to have it when you've got the field spell out.
Yeah, so we'll go on to the best thing ever.
Okay, he's my favorite. Just looking, it's kind of funny if I was to
look at this tongue.
If I was to reduce 1 to 2, it would probably be Spectre. But right now, he's too cute, and he's the best. Basically, what happens is if one of your Ghostricks gets destroyed, even a face down one, you can special summon him in face-down defense mode, and then you draw a card. So that is great for maintaining hand advantage and field presence at the same time.
Yeah, and what's really cool is what I can see. I don't even know the Ghostricks engine that much, but I can already see that this thing special summons himself, and so does this guy. So you got some level 1 synergy there, some rank 1s.
Yeah, you do have rank 1 options. Special summoning in this deck isn't huge, but it is an option. You gain that option later on.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, what you guys have probably seen by now is that. Oh, okay, it was upside down. No, now it's upside down.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so what you guys have probably seen by now is that all the Ghostricks really have low attack points. Like, they're not really the beefy kind of monsters.
Even defense. This one has 200, and this one has 1,800. The rest are all 0.
Yeah, and, I mean, Frog the Jam's the best thing ever.
And Frog the Jam.
But, yeah, as you guys will see as we're moving into this next one, this is actually the one that has the most attack points, and it's only at 16.
1,600.
Yeah.
Ghostrick Stein... Like, I've debated which one is just better, Ghostrick Stein or the Witch. In my opinion, it's Ghostrick Stein. Ghostrick Stein, I would never run at less than 3. This thing is just an animal. What you do with this guy is basically when he inflicts battle damage, you can search any Ghostrick spell or trap. So what that means is you can switch Ghostrick. You can search Ghostrick Panic, which is huge because it basically enables you to maintain overall advantage. Or you can search Ghostrick House,
which we're gonna get into soon, but it's the best thing ever.
The problem with Stein is that if you don't have Ghostrick House, he's basically dead. It's kind of sad. You need to have Ghostrick House to run him, which is why like you really want to get that stall advantage with these guys because he's really powerless without House.
Yeah.
But when you do, if you get House and Stein, it's a very slow and painful game, but it is good game. Like,
or
it's
even
basically
maybe
that.
Stein and Lance, you can get over something with Stein and then get the House or the trick.
Even then, strangely enough, it's quite difficult because he's just that low, and 2400 is not that big in this meta because you can't even run over Megalo. But still, like you can, if you get Stein off, it's basically game.
Yep.
Then you've got the Witch. The Witch is so good. Basically, the Witch acts as a Tsukuyomi. She basically switches as a guy to face down defense position, which contributes to your win condition when you've got the house on the field.
Yeah.
So just short and simple.
That seems like one of the best cards in the deck.
Oh yes, it is very good. We're going to discuss some other cards I've considered putting into the deck, but we'll get to that.
They're down here.
Yeah, they're down here. So, but we're going to discuss that later. Allure of Darkness. All of these guys are dark, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
Book of Moon. So you've got Book of Moon. You've got Triple Witch. And you've got Triple Swords of Concealing Light and Triple Ghostrick Panic. All of these cards contribute to setting things face down. So you're really trying to get things face down in this deck, and Book of Moon is great because you can set one of your own guys face down.
Or anything, basically.
I was recently testing this deck. My Stein got Fiendish Chained, and it was super awesome. So basically the guy thought he had game because I had no life points. He special summoned a whole bunch of Mermails. Battle phase, before attack declaration, I activated Book of Moon. So it's actually a really cool ruling. Basically, Fiendish Chain didn't work on him anymore, so I set him.
It fizzles.
He was forced to attack directly because I had the house on the field, and then next turn I just gamed him. Ghostrick House, next. It's just amazing. Basically what this does is it halves all damage from non-Ghostrick monsters. So your opponent can have 8,000 points of damage on the field, and it will only be 4,000 basically.
Yeah, and to be fair, like the first effect is that neither player can attack face-down defense position monsters, and a player can be attacked directly if all monsters they control are in face-down.
And that's the reason that you run this guy. I mean, it really comes down to not only are you having the damage, but the reality is you're contributing to your field advantage. So he saves your life points and he saves your field advantage, which is really, really awesome. Ghostrick House is really, really good. I've even considered running 2 Terraformings, which is where we get into my first tech card. For some reason, the guy who top did not run any Terraforming. I'm sorry, but the top decks right now, some of them, you've got Dark Worlds, which are still very prominent. You've got Prophecy, which run that field spell. You've got why am I drawing a blank?
And when he says Dark Worlds, he doesn't mean like actually because the meta,
the meta isn't Dark Worlds, but
where we are, Montreal meta is very Dark Worlds heavy.
Yes.
That's why we mention it all the time.
Oh god, no, but even there you go. Derp, it sprung into my head. Ravine,
yeah, Dragonities,
it's very, and I mean every Dragon Ruler deck runs it. So the reality of the situation is you really need this card you need 2 of them in your hand at all times because you need 1 to contribute to the win condition and 2 for when it gets fucking destroyed by Ravine, you need a replacement. So Terraforming, I'd even consider running it too. It's a very good card, and
that's why it's down there
in the deck.
That's why it's down there in the side deck option because
we're So then Swords of Concealing Light.
Oh baby!
Oh my god, this card is the best.
Oh baby!
Oh my goodness! When I draw this card in 2s, it is game. It is a 1-card game with Ghostricks. Best card ever.
Yugi thought Swords of Revealing Light. He didn't know he had to conceal them instead.
Yeah. Basically, you're forcing your opponent to set everything that they have. And then what's beautiful is that they're stuck in that position no matter what. So if your opponent summons a monster and then you Ghostrick Panic them, they are stuck in that for a full 2 turns. Or they summon a monster, you take a pitiful damage because of Ghostrick House, and the next turn you Ghostrick Witch and they're stuck like that. It's so dumb. This card is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I would never run it at less than 3.
And what's cool is that it doesn't specify the monsters that have been affected by this. It's just all monsters can't change the battle position. So the ones that are face down can't go face up.
And that's only your opponent. You can still flip and shit.
Yeah.
Pot of Duality, super MVP of this deck because you do not special summon that much almost at all. There are games where I do not summon Alucard. He's just not necessary sometimes.
Well, just looking at Lantern and Spectre up there, it's like, you're special summoning those on your opponent's turn even, so, duality won't even affect
Exactly, so you're not really using too much of that. Triple MST, this is another, I know it's funny, but this is another tech card technically, because the guy who topped only ran 2. I find 3 so necessary in this meta, even against Dragon Rulers and Mermails. I just find it essential. Every deck has problems with traps. That's why I've even considered running Night Beam. Like, it is that important that you run 3.
Yeah.
Double Lance. At first, I was very skeptical because the Ghostricks do have a trap card. Hold on.
Yeah.
Ghostricks.
The one with Alucard, right? Yeah.
This one. It's basically because this deck has some serious trouble with magic and traps. Oh, would you look at that? So the reality of your situation is you don't want your guys getting mirror forced, so Lance is a card. This protects all of your guys from mirror force, but here's the catch. You have to wait a full turn for it. So I can see why the guy didn't run Ghostrick out. I'd consider running it maybe, but for now Double Lance has paid off. And as Marco was saying, there is the rare situation where you can get over something with Stein because of that. Or actually, recently there was a situation kind of funny. I had him on the field, and my opponent had a tour guide that had recently been screwed over by a Ghostrick panic. So there was a tour guide in attack mode, a set tour guide, and I had this guy. And then I attacked, activated Lance, and it was dead.
Because a lot of your monsters are weak, so that extra 800 really helps.
Yeah. Finally, we have the traps. Basically, the deck that topped was back in a format where you were allowed to run 2 of this. So he ran 2 bottomless. I run 1 because I have to. Then 1 Solemn Warning. Then 1 Compulse. He didn't run Compulse. I'm sorry, for me, like, overlaying is essential. So it comes in handy against everything. It comes handy against Mermails, Evil Swarms, pretty much anything. It's too good of a card for me. It's my favorite trap card. And then 2 Mirror Force. I was very skeptical about the Mirror Force originally. But it is hilarious when your opponent thinks that they are going to get away with attacks because they're attacking directly, and it's like, oh, they kind of just get careless, and then, oh, wait.
Yeah, because they have all this power. It's like, oh, I can attack directly. It's like, oh, no, wait, Mirror Force.
They get really cocky.
I don't think you read Ghostrick out.
Oh, I completely skipped Ghostrick Panic. Ghostrick Panic is the best trap in the deck. Basically, what you do is while you're contributing to your field advantage, oh, and would you look at that, it's got synergy with Swords of Concealing Light.
And it's also got synergy with Spectre, because he's on the picture.
Oh my god, guys, look at him. He's like, oh, I'm surprised. Basically, what you do is, depending on how many Ghostricks you have on the field, you flip them to face up a defense position, and then
you flip an according amount to your opponent's monsters face down.
Beautiful, beautiful ruling. This doesn't target. So I was playing a Noble Knights player, and he had that equip spell that makes him untargetable, and this just gives no shits. against Noble Knights, because Noble Knights are going to be getting really popular soon with their new support. Yeah. Noble Knights get freaking destroyed by this deck because you set their guys. They can't be targeted, but that doesn't matter. And then all the equip cards get sent to the grave because they've been flipped face down.
Concealing doesn't target either, right?
No, it doesn't. It's beautiful. Oh, jeez.
Wow, Devin's going to like playing this deck.
It's dirty. I love this deck.
Here, before we move on to the side deck, you want to explain Ghoul and whatever this one down here is called? And say, like, just a quick line on why you don't run them?
Okay, here's the catch. Yukuona, it's not a good card. I know that sounds very silly and very just like blunt, but I mean when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, that thing gets set. I mean, come on, you've got a thing that sets already, and geez, for the love of Pete, you don't want to get destroyed. That's the whole point. You've already got him as insurance. You don't need this. It's just useless. Him. Okay, he is very special because I'm not going to lie, this is very, like, right now, I'm going to read this out loud. Cannot be normal summoned unless you control a Ghostrick monster.
Yeah,
once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position, so that's the typical Ghostrick effect. Once per turn during your main phase 1, you can target one Ghostrick monster you control. Its attack becomes equal to the combined original attack of all Ghostrick monsters you currently... all
Ghostrick monsters you currently on the field until your opponent's next end phase. But if it does, only that monster can attack. So it's Sirocco.
Yeah, okay, now here's the reason I don't run it. Here's why we read the effect out loud, too. This thing wasn't on DN for super long. It was on, like, right now. I didn't know this thing existed until 30 seconds ago, not gonna lie.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it wasn't on DN.
For the TCG players, this was actually the promo card.
It's gotta be an exclusive.
No,
Not TCG exclusive?
I don't think it's TCG
Wow.
exclusive.
Well, that's weird because in the OCG the guy didn't run it either. It
Yeah?
looks like a really decent card. I don't know why he wasn't running
Soroka's running twos. Maybe like in an updated version later, you can show us if you've been testing with this guy.
I don't know. I didn't even know he existed until 10 seconds ago. So surprise!
Would you run one or two? Or
Well, right now it's because the fact is
maybe one.
It's because during your main phase, you can target one Ghostrick monster, and basically you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, but at the same time, I guess like people aren't freaking out about it because it doesn't really help or contribute to your win condition.
Yeah, it just kind of makes something meaty.
It does. The good news about this, okay, there is one flip side to this guy, and it's the reason I could see people using it. With this guy, you don't need house. That's the catch that I can see. Because you're contributing to field advantage, if your opponent draws that MST and pops the house, and it's like, oh no, I'm going to lose, then you draw this guy, flip all your guys face up that you have contributed to the field, and then you summon him and you can get over anything.
Because you'll probably go to like 3,000 pretty easy.
I think that's something very interesting. I borderline want to send him in now. But I'm not going to do that because I've been testing with this deck so far and it's been working out pretty well without him. But I didn't know this card existed. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, okay, so here, let's do the extra deck, and then we'll go into the possible
extra deck, very briefly. This deck does not special summon at all. I run 2 Alucard. I wouldn't run less than 2.
Here, because this guy's new, let's read him. So 2 level 3, so it's generic. Your opponent cannot target any other Ghostrick monsters nor any face-down monsters for attacks. Then
no one, just putting that out there, no one really uses that effect as much. There are certain situations where you've Ghostrick panicked and there's still a monster on the field. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that monster can now attack my Ghostricks. No, he has to attack Alucard. That's the one plus.
And just to mention, this guy is actually the meatiest Ghostrick at 18, which is something. But then you can detach one Exceed material from this card, then target one set card your opponent controls, destroy it.
Beautiful.
That's the only this is the first Exceed monster that can pop back row, and like it's crazy. Like it's generic 2 level 3s, tour guide. You can go into it with tour guide. And
the beautiful part for Ghostricks is that because you're using so much set and you're really afraid that something's going to come back and bite you in the ass, you can just use Alucard to kill the monster as well.
You can set it and then use Alucard, and
it's
then,
any set card.
So that effect can only be used once per turn, and then if this card's sent to the graveyard, you can target another Ghostrick monster in your graveyard, and Ghostrick cards. You can even add like the
Panic.
Or the house. And then add it to your hand. So
it really contributes well to your win condition. Yeah. It's a very excellent card. That's why I run it at 2. Everything else is just a grab bag of stuff. Level 3, level 3, level 3, and so on and so forth. I mean, when you're running Terror Bite, that's when you've got space in the extra.
Basically, this thing doesn't really commit to the extra deck, but you could if you want. It's even got some rank 2s in here.
This card is interesting. I made it once. Basically, with 2 Witch, he's a free effect negation. So that's kind of interesting.
Oh, cool. It's like a Dolka.
Yeah, you've got the it doesn't destroy, sadly, but you've got the Slacker Magician and the Galaxy Queen, and this guy's really freaking cool. Haven't used him that much, but he's the best level 1.
Basically,
best rank 1.
If the opponent attacks it, or if damage would be dealt, then the opponent takes all the damage, and then you can detach that and make them take the damage again.
So it's double.
It's awesome. If I were to attack it with, let's say, a 2,000 attack one monster, I would take 19, and then the opponent can then detach to make me take another 19, which is kind of cool.
Okay, so let us begin with some of the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Torrential Tribute. Actually, I'll put Dark Hole right next to it. Why not? Torrential Tribute and Dark Hole. There's a reason I'm not running either of these, and there's a reason he wasn't either. I've never run this card because I've never even considered it. It's not good for this deck. This format is already riddled with Draco Sacks and things that just don't get killed by card effects. But not only that, I wouldn't run it normally just because of the fact that you're trying to contribute so much to the field that, God forbid, you draw these, you're destroying your own field.
Yeah.
So you do have this and this that can save you from that, but it's not dependable enough. Threatening Roar is interesting. I've considered putting it in just because, let's say you don't have the house, you can maintain your field advantage without it, so that's an interesting option. When you're running Mirror Force, Dimension Prison is also an option. It banishes guys and it just helps protect them. Similar premise to Threatening Roar. Fiendish Chain, at one point I was running it just for effect negation. Problem is, I find that it doesn't do enough to contribute to your win condition because you're only stopping one small thing, and I don't know, you can get around it with MST too easily. Night Beam, like I was testing one at one point. I guess you've got enough destruction back here going, so it's an interesting choice if you're really having trouble.
Yeah.
Book of Life.
This is something. Yeah,
yeah.
Which ones are zombies?
It's interesting that she's a zombie and he's a zombie. So you got 6 different zombies in the deck. Is he a zombie? Not that it matters, but
he is a zombie, so you can technically just bring back an 18 beater. But
well, and when he dies, you get that advantage yet again.
Yeah.
But
Book of Life's interesting. You can run that at 3, but like it's more of.
Oh no, I ran it at 1 at one point.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Upstart Goblin. This deck does face some problems with consistency, and whenever you do have that problem, Upstart is the solution. The problem is this deck is already slow enough as it is, and you're just trying to pound away at your opponent. So it's not something that I was very much looking forward to running.
Yeah.
An extra terraforming would be a godsend. So that's something that you might want to consider running as well.
Is that the most likely card out of these 15?
Out of all of these cards, these 3 that I'm about to show you guys are the 3 that I would put in.
I actually have some power filters.
Yeah, okay, power filter, here's the thing. There is basically an unstoppable combo that works off of Ghostrick House, Ghostrick Lantern, and power filter. Power filter disables the special summoning of guys with 1,000 or less attack, and by sheer coincidence, he's only 800. So the way it works is, I looked up the ruling, the way it works is, as long as you've got power filter, he negates the attack because it's a hand effect.
Yeah.
And then he can't be special summoned, so you keep negating attacks over and over again, and you basically have an impenetrable wall.
Wait, he can be special summoned though because he has 800.
No, because 1,000 or less.
Oh.
Yeah. See?
Hey.
So that is really awesome. So it basically prevents him from being special summoned, and that pays off.
Yeah, he'd be like an infinite. What is it?
Swift Scarecrow.
Yeah, with Swift Scarecrow, but what's that card that keeps setting itself? Scrap Iron Scarecrow.
Yeah, an infinite Scrap Iron.
Yeah, and it's not even like it sets. You can't use it twice per turn. You can use this thing like 3 million.
And I mean, unless your opponent has MST, Mind Drain, or what's the one? Their Mind Crush. It's basically game because they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Mass Chameleon is definitely the card that I've considered most. Right now, I'm going to show you the generic version that doesn't have our fun little Ghostrick Ghoul or this guy. Mass Chameleon has so much awesome synergy in this deck, it's unbelievable.
For those that don't know what it does, when it's normal summon, you can special summon a 0 defense monster from your graveyard.
Oh, would you look at that?
Are negated, yeah.
Oh, would you look at that?
So.
Oh, would you look at that?
Just as a reference, you have a level 4 that could be summoned with, right? Stein is level 4 or 3?
Stein's level 3.
So you can get a 3 or a 1 out of it, meaning you can make level 5 and level 7 synchros, which is super powerful.
Also, because you're committing to the field so much, this is also always going to be on the field. So you can make so many options, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You could make Miststorm, you can do all kinds of crazy. The other beautiful part about this guy is that he does have 2 restrictions. You can't special summon things that aren't from the extra deck. Which one of these guys special summon themselves on your turn? Oh wait, none of them. So that restriction really doesn't do anything for you. Also, he can't be normal summoned while you control a level 5 or higher monster. Yet again, look at how many of those you have. None.
All of them.
So, so the reality of your situation is Mass Chameleon has great synergy with the deck. I'm going to make an entirely new deck based on this guy, and we're going to see what happens with that. So then we have Tsukuyomi. I've greatly resented using this. I don't like the card too much, but I did test with it, and basically it acts as a Book of Moon. It comes back to your hand during the end phase, so like with Ghostrick House, it really pays off because everything is set, and then she just comes back to your hand. And then I put Dimension Fissure in here just saying because you don't really mess with your graveyard at all. So that's easily something you could throw in there later on.
These guys are kind of just extra deck options. This guy's not even out in the TCG yet.
These guys no. These I was just putting them here for fun.
Oh, okay.
But cool. Yeah, so that's the deck. We're gonna get into a duel like Subito Presto, and I hope you enjoyed Subito Presto. Yes.
And so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Our Ghostrick looking into the future. So you guys can click the annotation on screen right now. It'll bring you to the duel video where we're going to be testing this guy out on DN.
Oh yeah.
And seeing what happens. So it's been PlasmaCards.
So guys, happy Halloween, and we will see you around.
Thanks for watching.
Peace. These guys are seriously trolly.
Yeah.